I don't watch the show that much, but I've seen it.
Who is that? Who is that?
Greg Gutfeld's one of the hosts of The Five, who, if I don't have anything nice to say, I generally don't say anything at all. I would just say this, his show should be called Kat Timpf, not Gutfeld, because she's the funny one on it.
People have to wonder, where does Sunny Hostin get her opinions?
Yeah.
Like you said, and it's obviously from her husband. She has to tell her what to say on The View, because without it, she's got nothing up there. She's not very bright. So, but the problem with her is that she went full racist.
How do you define wokeness? Because I hear people use the term all the time, and it means something different to everybody.
Well, again, I think it's this collection of ideas that are not building on liberalism, but very often undoing it.
What happens when Greg Gutfeld and Bill Maher team up to take on The View? You get a reality check so bold that the hosts are left scrambling. They don't know whether to fire back with a quick comeback or just hit the commercial break. By the time they gather their thoughts, the audience is already cracking up at the replay.
My name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for
our view on The View. Ugh.
Joy, I'm obsessed with a lot of things that make me laugh every single day of my life, and you, little lady, are right up there with them. I'd love to have you on our show sometime. We'll even stock the green room with your favorite frozen mice. That's what you feed them.
This wasn't just a debate, it was a full-blown spectacle. Forget the typical eye rolls or quick comebacks. This was a televised demolition. Greg Gutfeld didn't just challenge the double standards. He tore them apart, live, and without holding back. And Bill Maher, he came in with his classic dry humor, dropping truth bombs like he was clearing out the junk. If you thought daytime TV was all about easy chats and safe opinions, think again. This wasn't Hot Topics, it was an all-out crisis. Someone should check if that studio carpet survived, because the fallout was intense. No breaks, no filters, no survivors. Gutfeld and Maher didn't just call out The View, they dragged it like it had taken their lunch money. So, what did they expose? Let's dive in, because this pairing isn't something you see every day. Gutfeld's the sarcastic conservative who practically makes eye rolls his second language, while Maher's the blunt liberal who thinks cancel culture is scarier than climate change. When these two teamed up to take down The View, you knew it was going to be a disaster for the hosts and the roast. Calling it spicy doesn't even do it justice. While New York was busy pulling sausages off shelves over plastic contamination, yes, that happened, Gutfeld and Maher were cooking up something far hotter. Truth served fresh, with enough salt and shade to feed the whole internet.
Super far right, and I can't say it enough. I think they're the bigger threat. But don't tell me that the left hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. I'm old enough to remember when it was the conservatives who hated.
Yeah.
Okay. That was a joke. But,
Too dark. Too dark.
If he were black, he could run for president and probably win. But there she goes again, playing the race card. She's more predictable than gas after a cheesy Gordita Supreme at Taco Bell. For someone named Sunny, she sure is cloudy.
The OICI The View is no longer the friendly chat it used to be. Now, it's more like a verbal mosh pit, with coffee mugs flying and logic disappearing faster than the opening credits. Throw in a Nobel Peace Prize winner, and in 5 minutes, they'd probably be wondering if their coffee was spiked with confusion. It's not about meaningful discussion anymore, it's just shouting, posturing, and fake concern, all served with a side of smugness. Then Greg Gutfeld and Bill Maher showed up, and suddenly, it wasn't left versus right, it was common sense versus a circus. Gutfeld, who's practically made it his personal mission to roast The View, was on fire. Now, when a panelist drops a wild take, he doesn't even flinch. He just rolls his eyes so hard you might feel the tilt of the earth. His favorite jab? That the show claims to offer diverse perspectives. But it's just 5 people shouting the same thing, all convinced they're the only genius in the room. Greg even joked that watching The View is like being stuck in a group project where nobody did the homework. But everyone's acting like the valedictorian. This time though. Gutfeld didn't just roast the format, he went straight for the cast. And it was brutal. He lit up Joy Behar for rewriting history mid-sentence, called out Sunny Hostin for her "I said it, so it must be true" energy, and roasted Whoopi Goldberg for flipping from moderator to a confused daytime philosopher. But the best moment, Greg flat out said Joy understands racism because she once dressed up as a black woman for Halloween. Yep, that really happened. And the kicker, Joy wasn't even on the show that day. Greg joked that Mondays must be her official pasture days, a weekly snark retreat to recharge her sarcasm batteries. It's like that one friend who always claims their aunt passed away right when plans come up. Maybe Joy just needed time to go through her hate mail, probably from her own co-hosts. Next,
that you keep wearing that red hat that says "Make America Great Again," that tells people that you go along with this. So you might as well just put a sticker on the hat.
Don't do that. Let's not do that.
Because we see it anyway.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put this on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. Joy is a wonderful human being, and she should not be afraid that people are going to attack her because she said the thing about the on the cap. She does not think that as you said to me in the break, you do not think that all the people who are for Trump are.
No, I don't.
You
I don't. I just want them to pay attention to words like vermin and poisoning the blood and the third.
VOIC that red Make America Great Again hat you keep wearing. It's more than just a hat tip, sends a clear message. It's basically like wearing a sign that says, I'm all in on this, even if you don't mean to. Honestly, I'd say don't bother with the sticker, because we can already tell. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to defend Donald Trump, but I'll never say that wearing that hat should make someone ashamed. You can dislike Trump all you want, but you shouldn't hate everyone who supports him. Joy is a great person, and she shouldn't feel like she's under attack just for mentioning someone wearing that hat. She doesn't think that everyone who backs Trump is the same. And Greg, you're right when you pointed out how dangerous it is to use words like vermin or poisoning blood. That kind of language is dangerous, and we shouldn't ignore it. Now, about The View. Greg nailed it. It's not even a talk show anymore. It's like a therapy session where the therapists walk off in the middle, and the guests are left as emotional punching bags. But here's the thing. Behind all the mocking, Greg actually makes a solid point. He says The View lost its way a long time ago. It's not about listening to different views anymore. It's about forcing everyone to admit they're wrong, or they get steamrolled. There's no room for real conversation, just dramatic sighs, snide remarks, and side glances sharp enough to cut through anyone's pride. And if you're lucky, maybe you'll get a full sentence out before someone interrupts with a smug grin and no facts to back it up. Greg didn't stop there. He tore into their idea of inclusivity, saying it feels less like an open invitation and more like walking into a cold windstorm.
I'm not going to defend Donald Trump ever, but I would never say that we should put this on the cap, because I think you can hate Donald Trump. You can't hate everybody who likes him. It's half the country. I don't want to live in that country. I don't want to live in the country where I hate half the country, and I don't hate half the country.
How dare you disagree?
According to Greg. If you're not following The View's narrative, you're not there to have a real conversation. You're just there to be humiliated. He didn't hold back, calling it exactly what it is. Performance activism. It's like a Broadway show, but with dimmer lights and eyebrows doing most of the work. And he didn't stop with just the cast. Greg even threw some shade at the production crew, saying, the real host of The View isn't Whoopi or Joy, it's the poor teleprompter guy in the back, sweating bullets and praying for a commercial break before another fact-free rant goes off the rails live on TV.
That he has opened Pandora's box with some crazies out there.
The only crazies I see around here are those View chicks. Am I right? A cyst would say. But I digress, says the cyst. They talk less sense than me after stealing those pills from Kat's purse.
Greg took things up a notch by flipping the whole conversation on its head, claiming The View doesn't even exist in reality anymore. He said it's like watching a Twitter thread come to life, chaotic, messy, and loud, for no real reason. Feelings over facts, shouting over logic, and honestly, he might be right. When asked if he's ever watched a full episode, Greg joked, no woman could survive that unless she's got nothing going on upstairs. Ouch. He didn't stop there. He even took aim at the so-called progressives on the panel, pointing out how ridiculous it is that they act like nothing has improved. His hot take, if things aren't getting better, maybe you're the problem. I can only imagine Joy Behar's face during that segment. Greg probably had her thinking, yep, skipping this mess was the best call I've ever made. But he didn't just stop at roasting the panel. He hinted that Joy's absence might not be as random as it seemed, especially since she's made herself the self-appointed voice on systemic racism, while also being one of the whitest women on TV. And yes, he brought up that infamous Halloween moment when Joy dressed up as Diana Ross and claimed people treated her differently. Like that, costume handed her some kind of cultural wisdom. Talk about audacity. Next.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently, the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Gladys.
They said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Well, really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's going to say she's never heard of carbs. Seriously, her denial of knowing me is as believable as her red hair.
When you thought the roast couldn't get any hotter, in walks Bill Maher. Picture this, a man who built an entire career on being a professional contrarian. Maher doesn't throw punches, he throws truth bombs with a smirk. If Greg Gutfeld is the sniper taking shots from a distance, Maher walks right in, smiles at the camera, and detonates the whole thing himself. He's that kind of liberal. The one who makes even other liberals squirm in their seats. Pro-weed, pro-free speech, and violently anti-BS. So, if he's the one roasting The View, you know there's a real issue. Maher's biggest gripe, the show has zero room for nuance. According to him, disagreement isn't seen as part of a healthy discussion on The View, it's treated like a threat. The second you step even a little bit outside their script, the conversation's over before it even starts. If you say anything that doesn't fit their narrative, you're suddenly labeled the enemy, problematic, misogynistic, or, as Maher dryly put it, unenlightened. To him, The View isn't a panel, it's a tribunal. Step out of line, and they won't debate your point. They'll slap on a moral diagnosis, demand a public apology, and throw you straight onto the cancelled waiting list. Maher also torrented the show's tendency to turn every little topic into a full-blown emotional crisis. He called the moral superiority on display so thick, it felt like part of their official wardrobe budget. And when someone dared to mention the term woke, saying it might be part of why Trump could win again, Maher fired back. I didn't say it's ruining everything, he clarified. I said that's why Trump could get reelected. One of the hosts clapped back, surprised, claiming that woke came from the black community and meant staying alert to injustice. So, Maher responded, why is that a bad thing now?
Come on, Kim. Excuse me, I have to say something to you. He told Bob Woodward that it was a very serious issue, and it's airborne, and that it was terrible. And then he went out and told the American people, don't wear masks, it's all going to go away. You have to put some blame on your president. I'm sorry. You're putting it on something extraneous here. Talk to the point, please.
Is this Joy speaking?
The guy
The
lied.
same Joy? The same
Yes.
Joy that
Yes.
paraded around in blackface not too long ago? Come on, Joy. I don't think you should be
That's
asking
not
these
true.
questions. I am.
Excuse me, Sonny.
The
Yes.
black community did
Sonny,
not
tell
vote
him.
for you.
Well,
the black
you know what?
community did not vote for you. What
It
planet
was during
are
a
you
special
living
election.
on?
Sonny, can I speak?
What
It was
planet
during-
are you living on?
It was during a special election while we
Maher didn't even flinch when the hosts tried to defend their side. He pointed out that woke wasn't a bad thing, or at least it wasn't when it started. Then, he dropped a line that really hit. Watching The View feels like being stuck in a fire drill, with everyone pointing at you as the arsonist. And Maher doesn't just throw shade. He digs deep. He roasted how the hosts toss out headlines from articles they clearly never finished, spout hashtags like they're stuck in a TikTok comment section, and treat shouting as if it's irrefutable evidence. If Gutfeld's beef is that The View fakes ideological balance, Maher cranks it up. He says they're not just faking open dialogue, they're faking curiosity. At this point, they don't even pretend to want to hear anything new. Maher's takedowns don't come in hot, they come in tired. Like a worn-out professor watching Strata students hand in a group project written in crayon. He doesn't yell, he sighs, he shrugs. And somehow, that hits way harder. It's not anger, it's disappointment. But here's the wildest part. These two, who probably couldn't agree on the color of the sky, actually landed on the same brutal conclusion. The View isn't a panel anymore, it's an echo chamber. And the loudest one, on TV, according to both Gutfeld and Maher, it's not even pretending to be anything else anymore. After all the smoke cleared, Greg and Bill found themselves standing side by side. The same battlefield, the same brutal takeaway. The show isn't a talk show anymore, it's sketch comedy without the laughs. According to them. The panel stopped being thinkers and started playing characters. The punchlines act like they've time traveled, but the jokes fall flat, followed by applause that somehow feels forced. For both Gutfeld and Maher, The View is no longer a conversation. It's political theater, where every issue gets treated like an apocalypse. And the answer is always the same. A weird group hug laced with passive-aggressive digs and fake smiles. Maher even joked about the online chaos that followed, saying, "Everyone's been texting me since Whoopi came for me last week." He laughed it off. People were like, "Bill, enjoy the karma. There's no such thing as karma. Grow up. She comes for me all the time." This one just went viral. Next.
Even all the excuses in the world does not change the fact that 3 people got shot.
Yeah.
2 people.
Yeah.
To me, I'm sorry.
All right. And to me, that's about as educated a legal opinion as the Rittenhouse prosecutor explaining that you should take a beating instead of defending yourself, or that the closer someone is to you with a gun, the less likely they'll use it.
What really united Gutfeld and Maher, though, was their shared frustration with how The View shuts down independent thinking. In that studio, having your own opinion feels riskier than showing up without concealer. Gutfeld calls it ideological theater, while Maher says it feels more like a culty brunch with a camera crew. Honestly, both descriptions hit the nail on the head. The ladies of The View? Oh, they weren't happy once those roast clips started circulating online. You could almost hear those coffee mugs slamming down a little harder. And sure enough, they tried to clap back, throwing out a few vague lines here, a weak joke there. but it was like trying to stop a wildfire with body glitter, lots of sparkle. No real impact.
Someone can legally come to a protest and under the cover of law kill me.
If he were black, he could run for president and probably win. But there she goes again, playing the race card.
Someone can legally come to a protest and, under the cover of law, kill me. If he were black, he could run for president and probably win. But there she goes again, playing the race card. While the View scrambled to save face, the internet got the message loud and clear. People from both sides of the political spectrum actually agreed on something and laughed about it. Not that polite, forced chuckle, but real, genuine laughter. Because the roast wasn't just funny, it was spot on. The View, in all its self-richest glory, has slowly morphed into exactly what it claims to fight against. Preachy, predictable, and completely disconnected from reality, and the fallout. Oh, it was peak cringe. Maher dropped one of his signature truth darts, saying, "I'm old enough to remember when it was conservatives who hated the left." And another voice chimed in, laying it out. This is Bill Maher we're talking about. He's carried the liberal torch for decades, until woke culture made it impossible. That's who he's been to America. And now look at how they treat him like he's the villain for not reading off the same script.
I mean, 5 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was not a controversial figure among liberals. We liked him. Now they take his name off schools and tear down his statues. Really? Lincoln isn't good enough for you? 5-10 years ago, bedrock liberalism was we are striving to be a colorblind society where we don't see race. Of course, we see it, but it doesn't matter. That's not what woke is. Woke is something very different. It's identity politics. We see it all the time. It's always the most important thing. I don't think that's liberalism. I mean, I could mention so many issues.
Key things got awkward fast. Watch Sunny Hostin's face. Listen to her tone. Just because Maher's a lefty who hasn't completely lost the plot, they treated him like a walking red flag. And then boom, silence. The View had nothing. No real clapback, no solid rebuttal. Just awkward grins and a quick switch up. Pretending they hadn't just been served a 5-course roast, medium rare, with a side of extra spicy truth. It was like someone finally held up a mirror, and every single one of them chose to look away. Here's the wild part. The same show that claims to love uncomfortable conversations couldn't handle one the second it went off script. It all fell apart. Gutfeld and Maher didn't show up angry. They showed up armed with facts, wit, and sarcasm. They didn't scream. They observed, they didn't attack, they exposed, and the View. They ducked for cover, hoping nobody noticed. Spoiler alert, everyone noticed. Because when a Fox News regular and a liberal comic come together to drag your whole credibility into the spotlight, that's not drama, that's not bullying, that's an intervention of public. Hilarious, and brutally honest one. Zoom out. And this wasn't just two guys roasting a talk show. It was a full-on spotlight on what happens when a platform forgets how to listen. When curiosity gets replaced by clicks, and when simple disagreement turns into a threat. In that moment, the View wasn't leading the conversation. They were running from it. Greg and Bill. They'll never be grabbing dinner or swapping Christmas cards. They'll keep roasting each other's politics until the end of time. But for one wild, glorious moment, they were locked in their verdict. The View has lost the plot. And that tired old script they keep reading from, yeah, toss it in the recycling bin with the cards they clearly don't need. Next.
She's not very bright. But the problem with her is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a fairly generic behavior seen in all spouses, regardless of skin color. People marry, they listen to each other, they have something in common with them, they share their political views. She just didn't want to upset her husband by saying her husband makes her do everything, and then she'd have to accuse him of being a racist. Because if he told her that this is what white women do, then he's a racist. You see?
Next voice not exactly known for her sharp thinking, but the real issue here is that she went full racist. She injected skin color into a pretty typical behavior that's seen in all marriages, regardless of race. People marry, listen to each other, share common interests, and yes, share political views. She didn't want to upset her husband by saying he makes her do everything. So instead, she had to accuse him of being racist. If he told her this is what white women do, suddenly he's a racist. It's a mess. Let's be real. Every voice on that panel says the same thing, they just take turns yelling it louder. But if the View actually wants to be taken seriously again, they need to bring in real disagreement. Not token opposition, not shock value for the stage, but genuine, messy, uncomfortable back and forth. Because when your harshest critics are sharper, funnier, and more consistent than your paid hosts, that's not just a bad look, it's a full-blown identity crisis. And don't get your hopes up, because the only thing louder than those dramatic applause breaks is the dead silence that hits whenever someone dares to really challenge the room. If you think Maher and Gutfeld are done, they're not buddies, but they've definitely found a shared nemesis, and The View won't be sending them Christmas cookies anytime soon. When the clowns start roasting the circus, it's not just a roast, it's a warning. Here's the real twist. When the clowns start sounding more sane than the ringmasters, the whole tent's about to collapse. And we're not talking about trolls or Twitter nobodies. This is Greg Gutfeld, the king of sarcasm, over at Fox, and Bill Maher, the liberal legend who used to lob grenades at Republicans before his first cup of coffee. Even they looked at The View and said, nah, this is a mess. Let that sink in. Maher even gave Sunny Hostin her own shout-out, clowning her for only discovering Instacart 5 years ago, 2020, and when she tried to flex about how generous her tips were, even she had to pause and realize how out of touch that sounded on live TV. She added toiletries and fire logs, and Maher was like, fire logs? When you're explaining your tip habits just to seem relatable, it's already too late.
It's about The View. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Here, let's look at this political oddity. It really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. How can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest.
Next voice is so. Now we've got a conservative comic who thinks the world has gone woke crazy, teaming up with a progressive icon who was untouchable by cancel culture before it even had a name. And together, they've exposed a hard truth. When both sides say you've lost it, maybe it's time to listen. And here's the kicker, both of them ended up on the same page. That loud panel show with mugs flying, applause signs flashing, and voices fighting for airtime. It's not a talk show anymore. It's a full-blown intervention. That's when it really hits. The View didn't just lose its wit, crashed headfirst into its own echo chamber, slammed the gas pedal, and locked the doors behind it. It's so deep inside its bubble now that even those who used to support it are starting to throw rocks at the glass walls.
I think when was Barbara
Walters,
was she still on it back then?
Yeah, she was on it even after she died.
Oh my God. I remember I was on The View and I don't know what or man playing at the time in a movie he was promoting. And I remember I took off her shoe just as a joke, to kind of do something. And her foot, ooh, that was a mistake.
Oh my God.
And here's the kicker. These aren't just trolls or haters. These are insiders. Bill Maher. He used to roll with that crew. He was their snarky realist, the guy who threw shade at both sides but still kept his seat at the table. And Greg Gutfeld, he's always been the opposition. But when he stops cracking jokes and starts roasting like a disappointed dad watching a busted school play, you're not being trolled, you're getting a serious warning. And you can feel it. The View didn't just lose its edge, it pushed out anyone bold enough to think for themselves. At this point, it's either fall in line with the group or get side-eyed into silence. But let's be honest, the ones doing the calling out, they're not saints, and they're definitely not neutral. They live in constant political chaos. Yet somehow, in this moment, they sounded more grounded, more clear-headed, more normal. When the usual chaos crew starts making more sense than the voices of reason, that's when you know something's seriously off. So, here we are. Two total opposites. One messy talk show and a masterclass in irony. When it takes a sarcastic sniper from Fox News and a liberal icon to pull the plug on the noise. It's not just The View anymore, it's a mirror. And what it's reflecting, it ain't cute. Because when the clowns are the only ones making sense, maybe it's time to shut down the circus. If that roast hit harder than a Joy Behar eye roll, you know what to do. Smash that like, drop your hottest take in the comments, and hit subscribe for more no-fluff breakdowns, savage side-eyes, and truth bombs dipped in sarcasm. Turn on that bell, because trust me, the next takedown, you do not want to miss it.